9 to 10 p.m., Monday night on Liffey Sounds. The world you don't know. The world you don't know. 9 to 10 p.m., Monday night on Liffey Sounds.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome along to this week's edition of The World You Don't Know with myself, Mick O'Connell, and I have an interesting show lined up tonight. I've got a guest coming on now in a few minutes. I've got Al from OYM coming on. He's sitting in the wings waiting on Skype for me, so I'm going to bring him in now in a few minutes. But first of all, I'm going to play a video. I need to find it first on Facebook. I have it on Facebook now. I did post it earlier on, so if you just bear with me for a minute, and I'm going to find this video. And it's of Donald Trump. I'm going to play two videos of Donald Trump. I want you to listen carefully, and then I'm going to bring Al in then, and we're going to discuss what's on these videos. Now, let me see. This is Donald Trump defending. No, I'm going to play a different one first. Hang on a second. I'm going to play a long one. It's only 5 minutes. This is Donald Trump last week at one of his conventions, talking about the media being complicit in rigging the elections in favour of Hillary Clinton. I've always had a saying, if you want to know who rules over you, find out who it is you're not allowed to criticise. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. So have a listen to this, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes with Al, just after I play these videos. Talk to you very soon.
The political establishment will not do, no lie that they won't tell, to hold their prestige and power at your expense. And that's what's been happening. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. As an example, just one single trade deal they'd like to pass involves trillions of dollars controlled by many countries, corporations, and lobbyists. For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat, like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. For them, it's war. And for them, nothing at all is out of bounds. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. Believe me. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The establishment and their media enablers wield control over this nation through means that are very well known. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe, and morally deformed. They will attack you. They will slander you. They will seek to destroy your career and your family. They will seek to destroy everything about you, including your reputation. They will
Now, folks, that's the first video. Now, I'm going to play the second video for you now. It's just a minute long, and I want you to have a listen to this. Now, that was Donald Trump there telling you how corrupt the media is. He also goes on to say that the Clintons are criminals, etc., etc. Now, you can find that on YouTube, that video. If you just type in Donald Trump slams the Clintons, you will find it. Now, I want you to have a listen to this one now. This is an extremely interesting video. This is a gentleman in the audience at a Trump rally about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, asking Trump a question about Zionist Israel. Have a listen to what Trump's reaction is. So have a listen to this, folks. We'll be back to you in a minute.
How about one more question? That's it. Go ahead. You want to talk? Hello. That's right. Get that mic. Get that mic over there.
Mike, can I hold it?
Yeah, let him hold it. Let him hold it. See, there's a man that knows what he wants. It's my kind of guy. Go ahead.
Well, this might shock you, but we have something in common.
Good.
Respect for human life.
Thank you.
Okay? Now, I have 2 comments on my deep respect for human life. Okay? Number 1, you can comment on my objections. Number 1 and number 2. Okay? Number 1, I'm opposed to the murder of unborn babies being legal. Number 2, I'm opposed to our wasting our military in the Middle East on behalf of Zionist Israel. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, let me just tell you that Israel is a very, very important ally of the United States, and we are going to protect them 100%. 100%. They've been our most reliable. It's our true friend over there, and we're going to protect Israel 100%. As to number 1, we're with you. Okay. One more. We got to ask one more because that was a tough.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, that was the second video with Donald Trump. Now, that gentleman asked Donald Trump a question about Israel and Israel's activities in Palestine. That's what he was talking about, the slaughter of innocent Palestinians that has been going on for a number of years now, since 1948, basically. Donald Trump is all about Israel. You know, Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again and free America, etc., etc. But you just have to listen to what he's saying there. It's nothing could be further from the truth. Anyway, I'm going to bring my good friend in, Al. Al is from Open Your Mind Radio Ireland, and he's been a regular guest on the show. He comes on every now and again, and we shoot the breeze on world events and what's going on. So tonight we're going to be talking about Donald Trump and the circus and the psyop that election actually is. Because the New World Order, the elite who run this world, the real power behind the scenes, don't care whether it's Trump or Hillary in. They don't care. They're going to be following a set agenda. Trump is not the freedom fighter that a lot of truthers online are going around, you know, lauding Trump. The only reason I like Trump is because he's a bit of crack. And at the end of the day, one of them is going to get in. And I'd rather have Donald Trump on my television every other night for the next 4 years than Hillary Clinton. Because at least with him, you can have a good laugh with the faces he pulls. Anyway, I'm going to bring Al in. Good evening, Al.
Good evening, Mick. How are you doing?
Now, did you hear those 2 videos I played? You did?
I didn't, Mick. I didn't hear them over the Skype, no.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, it's probably something on my end. Basically, Donald Trump, the first one was, I'm sure you've seen the video where he's calling the Clintons criminals, etc. And he's berating the mainstream media for running a biased campaign against him in favour of Hillary Clinton. But then the second video I played was a gentleman asking a question about Israel. And he defended Israel to the hill, says they're our friends, etc., etc. And what I'm trying to say to people is, you know, a lot of people online, particularly in the truth movement, are all about Donald Trump, saying, "No, Donald Trump is great. You know, he's with Putin and stuff like this," and they're missing the point. You know, the New World Order elites don't care who gets into the White House as long as it's someone that they control, and they do control Donald Trump. You know, if Donald Trump is worthy salt and had any interest in the betterment of humanity, he would condemn Israel for their actions in Palestine, and he doesn't, and that tells me a lot.
Well, definitely there's something going on in the background there, and as you say, you know, presidents are selected, they're not elected. The whole voting scam, the same in Ireland, to be honest with you. I mean, let's look at Ireland as well. I mean, people think voting is going to make a difference. If voting made a difference, they'd ban voting. Yeah. You know, and there has been boxes spotted being carried out of polling offices and replaced with other boxes. People have seen things going on, and I believe there's supposed to be a member of the Gardaí there to watch everything, to make sure everything's above board, but apparently not so in some polling stations. The US elections, well, there's three kind of outcomes from what we see, from where we're standing, and what we were told by the intel we were given. Trump is there to support Hillary. People really think, there are people who actually think that Trump is going to make a difference, like Obama, where they all thought he was going to make a difference, and he didn't. He actually made matters worse because, again, they're all selected and not elected. Now, Trump is supporting Hillary, but he's controlled opposition. And I did speak to a radio host in the States there on the United We Strike Marathon there a couple of weeks ago. And we were talking about this, and he was convinced that Trump was, oh, no, he's well protected. And when you speak to somebody like John Irwin, you know that if they wanted to take him out, they would be able to take him out.
Of course they could take him out. That's easy enough for them, you know.
Of course it is. So basically Trump is there to be the controlled opposition to Hillary. Now the issues are, you have Trump getting in, he might be in there for too long. Again, Hillary, well, apparently we were told by our intel that she died in early September, and she's a clone. And cloning technology they've had for a long time.
Well, look, talking about cloning technology, you know, people are probably sitting here now listening to this laughing, saying, you know, the cloning technology, he was crazy, you know. And if anyone wants to text in, you can on 08706271138. That's the number to text in on. Cloning, do you remember Dolly the sheep?
Well, Mick,
I mean, that was 20 odd years ago.
Yeah, well, I actually worked for the company who did the PR for Dolly the sheep.
Right.
I worked for them in London. They're a bioscience company. And when when Dolly the sheep came out, I think it was around 2000, 2001, I joined the company in 2001, and they just had done the Dolly the sheep cloning. Now, if they've come out in the general public and said, hey, look, we've cloned the sheep in the year 2000,
you can be
guaranteed that they've had the technology 40 or 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've always said that in our shows, that, you know, technology that we get in the shops nowadays is already probably 30 years out of date compared to what the governments have behind the scenes that we know nothing about. Exactly,
and I'm currently reading a book by Ben Rich. Ben Rich was the CEO of the Skunk Works, and he I'm still going through the book, but basically I got to the part where they're funding a special aircraft, a special stealth aircraft in the 1970s, and the funding for the project didn't even go near Congress. It just bypassed Congress and went straight for the funding for the stealth aircraft. So then you have to ask yourself, when Donald Rumsfeld comes out the day before 9/11 and says we can't find $2.3 trillion, then you have to ask yourself, well, maybe that's gone into the black projects.
It has to be going into the black projects. I remember hearing jokes years ago, back in the 80s, about you know, costing €20 to replace a toilet lid in the Pentagon, or €20 million or dollars to replace a toilet lid in the Pentagon, or you know, another $50,000 to replace a light bulb in a toilet in the Pentagon. And it was a running joke, you know, because so much money just disappeared down black holes and no one knew where it was going. And this money has to go somewhere. And but this is what they're spending on, secret technology.
Oh, yeah. But look, there's no different in the Irish government. When they're buying a toilet as well, you see, it's not their money, it's taxpayers' money. And because it's unlimited to a certain extent, right, they'll turn around and they'll say, oh, well, we need a new toilet, and they'll probably get 2 or 3 quotes because they're legally obliged to get 2 or 3 quotes, and they'll probably go for the most expensive because thinking that, well, the most expensive is going to be the best one. And it's taxpayers' money. You know, if it was their money, then the shoe would be on the other foot, and they'd be saying, okay, hang on a minute there, we have to go for a good quote because, you know, we've a tight budget. But because, again, it's taxpayers' money, and that's why the politicians in Ireland and most politicians in governments go on a mad spending spree, and that's why they want the money. It's all about the money. It's all about the revenue. The courts are full of it. You know, it's all about the money. They want to make. That's why we've said on the show before, when you say crime doesn't pay, well, crime doesn't pay the government, because you don't get money by catching criminals, but you do get money by pulling people over for no car tax, no insurance, no NCT, speeding, parking. That's all revenue for the government.
I mean, I was talking to someone the other day who happened to be in Trim Court, and we had some business to take care of up there, and he was saying there was a lot of court cases going on, and he said most of them were for driving offences. And he said what was going on was, if you were unemployed, you got a lesser fine, but if you were employed, they hammered you with a fine for the same offence as what the unemployed person would have committed. Say running a red light or not having tax, or and these are non-crimes as far as I'm concerned, because there's no victims. The victim is crimes. So it does go to prove that it's a revenue stream for these people.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before on the show. Just go over to a small business done in Bradstreet and you see like the Garda Síochána along with all the other departments there registered as businesses. It's business. That's what it is.
And if they're registered as companies, I mean, we all know a company only operates for one purpose, and that is to make a profit. There's no other reason for a company to exist.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about profit. I mean, and the survival of the company is utmost. And this is why the political parties they will sacrifice certain TDs for the survival of the party. So if a TD does something that goes against what the party wants, or the party line, they will sacrifice that TD or burn him or put out a scandal or something like that to get rid of him, for the survival of the party. And when people start understanding the psychology and how this all works, then they'll be able to see what's going on in the party. I mean, we all know the whole thing is corrupt. And yeah, the TDs come out time and time again, they knock on your door, and they know that it's all corrupt and they can't do anything about it because of the party whip system. But because they're in the corporate company or the party, they have to toe the party line. So they have to say, oh, no, we're really doing well, we're really doing fantastic. All the politicians talk. But in their own mind, they know exactly what's going on in the background, but they can't say it.
Like we know, we've looked into a lot of stuff in regards to Irish history, and we're quite satisfied that British rule never actually left these shores, that they're still here. They left a proxy government, if you will, in place in 1922, and they're still there to this day. All these political families who have been in power in this country, like the Hayes, and the Kenny's family, and all these families that make it to the top in the political world. Do you think, growing up, all these young children believed that they were 100% Irish, or do you think that they all knew deep down that, Daddy was working for the Brits, so to speak, but from behind the scenes? Do you think they know, or do you think that they're ignorant to all of this?
Well, no, some of them will know. You see, the thing is, this is the divide, because it's all nepotism, hiring the family and everything else. A lot of these kids go to private school, so they're all indoctrinated from the private school, and you can see the dad sitting down with the son and say, now son, this is how the system really works. I know people are telling you this how it works, but this is really how the system works, and if you want to be part of this and have a good lifestyle and have loads of money and have loads of friends to help you out, then you need to play this game, because if you don't do this, the whole system will collapse. So even though the parties don't like each other, they need each other, like mafia gangs. They need each other for the survival of the system, and that's where the problem is. So even though they mightn't like each other, they know that they need each other to keep the system going, to keep the plate spinning. And
they'll keep it going. Listen, I need to go to a break, so do you mind holding on for 2 minutes?
No problem, Mick.
Brilliant. Folks, we'll be back in 2 minutes with Alan.
Broadcasting to Lucan, this is Liffey Sound, 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. I'm going to go to Alan now in 2 seconds. I just want a quick little announcement. I just want to wish my good friend Sean Maguire. I've mentioned Sean on the show before, and I've had Sean on my show before. He does a great show called Out of the Bag. Now, he was doing it on the platform People's Internet Radio, but has since parted ways with them for reasons I don't know and I won't get into. But he has moved his radio show over onto deprogrammedradio.com at the regular times. He's there every Tuesday at midday and every Wednesday night, I think, from 9 o'clock till 12. He does a great 3-hour show, has some great guests on. That's Out of the Bag with Sean P. Maguire. So I just want to wish Sean all the very best in his endeavours going forward into the future. So down but not out, he's still on the airwaves, so listen, best of luck. And he, as I said, folks, he's over on deprogrammedradio.com. It's a big website. There's a lot of radio shows on it, so if you go on and just type in Out of the Bag in the search bar on that site, and you should find Sean's show and links for his blogs and stuff like that, so best of luck, Sean, in your endeavours going into the future. Are you still with me?
I am indeed, mate.
That's great. Now just we go back to Trump just for a minute, because I just want to get your views on what you think. is the overall agenda. If Trump gets elected, what do you think is going to happen? Or if Hillary gets elected, what do you think might happen?
Well, if Trump gets elected, my feeling, based on information I've seen, is they'll probably take him out anyway, because they don't want him to be running the show, so to speak.
Do you think there's a chance, though? That, you know, we've always said that these elections are pre-selected. You know, they're usually selected at the previous Bilderberg meeting or whatever. You know, who's going to be the next president. I don't know if Trump or Clinton were both at the last Bilderberg. I'm not sure who was at that this year. But just say, for argument's sake, that's where they're selected at those meetings. As we've seen in elections, you know the polls just say so and so is going to win, and next thing there's a big shock and somebody else wins it, whatever, for whatever reason. If that did happen in America, do you think they'd have to go to the alternative step of actually doing a JFK style assassination on him to get him out of the way and get their own man into the White House?
Well, the plan of attack, which is what we've heard, is that Trump is there as controlled opposition to Hillary. So Hillary is always going to get in. Now, if it's a case for some strange reason that they think that Trump is going to win, they'll probably end up taking him out. This is what we've heard. Now, again, plans change all the time.
Yeah, true.
So there's no point sticking to one idea, because the elite of the cabal always change their mind. But basically, we've heard that he's controlled opposition, and he will do something, or something will happen, or he'll get taken out to make sure that Hillary gets in, because Hillary is the person they want in there, and she's a nutcase anyway. So, but the other side of the coin is that Hillary, and this is what we've heard, is that, as I said earlier, she died in September, so she has a clone and she's using doubles as well. So she mightn't be there for long. So the other kind of, the third side of this is that Trump and Hillary won't get in or get elected because there'll be World War III will be announced, or something will happen which will stop the elections or put off the elections for a period of time, and Obama will carry on doing what he's doing. Now, one of the things that's been rumoured, again, I'm just putting it out there, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but one of the things, there's paperwork going around apparently, it's been rumoured that on the day of the election, they want to kick in Project Bluebeam, which we've talked about before.
Which is the fake alien invasion. Exactly.
Now, they've already tried this twice, I think, so far. In the last few weeks, they've already tried it twice. Once, about 2 weeks ago on the Wednesday night, and then again when there was a Hurricane Matthew on the east coast of Florida. The whole idea was to cause that. Hurricane Matthew was man-made, it's controlled HARP, and the whole idea was to evacuate people from the east coast so they could actually kick off the Project Bluebeam, the fake alien invasion. And I know people might be listening and go, that sounds really mad. Well,
it does sound far out there.
Mad.
It does sound far out there, with all due respect. Even I would say it's far out there, a fake alien invasion, but based on the research that myself and yourself have been doing for the last 10 plus years, looking into all of this type of stuff, we do know for a fact that the likes of Lockheed Martin have enabled them to have the technology to pull something like this off, to fool the world, holographic technology.
Well, exactly, and Ben Rich did say we have the technology to bring ET home. I mean, they have advanced more. There's so much evidence out there at the moment to what's going on. And the thing is that people need to do the research. Ignorance these days, it's a choice, right? Because there's so much information out there. Now, there's also a lot of disinformation out there, and you have to do your filtering. And I've been involved in this for 15 years, and I have gone down a few rabbit holes which ended up nowhere. So I've kind of seen it done. I have the t-shirt, and I'm still learning, but we are getting good intel. I mean, when you have the likes of Werner von Braun, Dr. Carol Roslin was an ex-missile defense consultant. She's a good friend of OYM's. She's been on the show. She worked for Werner von Braun for 3 years. He was the father of the Apollo rockets, and he was the guy who designed the V1, V2 rockets that went over to London and destroyed London. And basically, he said the last card was the fake alien invasion. Now, they like using Hollywood all the time to tell us, and Independence Day is a classic where, everybody gets together. We're all human beings against these nasty aliens, and we need your tax dollars because we have to build their ships and everything else. So it does seem a bit out there. But if people want to see, if somebody says to me, oh yeah, UFOs, yeah, that's a bit mad, isn't it? Well, I would say we had James Gilliland on our show last night. And James Gilliland has a ranch in California called EastSeti. And stars like Robbie Williams, the singer from Take That, Danny Dyer on EastEnders, the actor, and loads of military men have gone out to the EastSeti ranch and have seen ET crafts power up over the ranch. People who have gone out being skeptical and saying, I don't believe this, have come back. The military guys have said, that's not air stuff, right? So if people want to put their money where their mouth is and turn around and say, oh, I don't believe that, well, take a ticket out to California. Contact James, fly over to California. He'll bring you out on his ranch and he'll show you the crafts that are flying around there. There you go.
But you saying like the military guys were there and they said they weren't ours. Do you think it would be in their interest to say, no, we don't own them, just to create the illusion that they're from somewhere not deserved?
It's not just about the physical, right? It's about energy. And James and all his staff are all really highly tuned with energy. And it's so when they're seeing a craft, they're not just seeing it, they're feeling the energy from the craft. So they know that it's not human. They know it's not man-made.
These craft now, would they be, because we hear a lot of stuff about Saren and stuff like that and interdimensional portals and stuff like that. Do you think that they could be coming from, a different portal as opposed to coming across interstellar space? They occupy the space that we occupy, just in a different dimension.
Yeah, why not? I mean, put it this way. Here's a simple thing simple way to describe frequencies, right? You have a remote control in your hand, right? And you point it at the TV and the channel changes, right? That's infrared, but you can't see the beam coming from that because we have limited frequencies that we can see with our eyes. Now, there's a beam coming out of that because the channel is changing. Yeah. Put your hand in front of that and try and change the TV. You can't do it because you're stopping the beam. So there's a beam there, but you can't see it.
Yeah, I usually point my remote at the wall behind my head and the signal will bounce off the wall over to the TV. That's without pointing the remote at the TV. So you're right, there is a beam.
Yeah, there is a beam. So there's all these light frequencies out there and dimensions that we just can't see. And if you take like a spiritual medium who can see spirit because they have been tuned or they're vibrating on a frequency where they can actually see them. So yes, of course it's possible. It's been proven time and time again. Again, people need to do the research and look into this.
Now, for any skeptics out there who think like what you're saying is just hocus pocus, I mean, even Nikola Tesla said that if you want to understand the universe, you've got to think in terms of energy and frequency. We ourselves are frequency beings. Everything vibrates on particular frequencies.
Exactly. And if you get an electron microscope and drill down on your hand, what do you see? You see atoms vibrating, right? They resonate on a frequency. If you then get the same microscope and drill down and have a look at the table or the chair, you get atoms and they're vibrating on a frequency. So what happens is, and so if you know how to use that frequency or tap into the frequency, you can manipulate it. Like, so if you get a singer who sings at a certain key and they're singing at the frequency of a glass and they smash the glass.
They smash the glass, yeah, I've seen that.
It's been done. It's been done and in experiments. So again, it's all understanding the science. And so a lot of people might turn around and go, well, that's BS. Well, prove that we're talking BS because the experiments have been done.
Don't just
Science has proven all of this stuff.
No, I had a guest on last week. I don't know if you listened to last week's show, Mark Devlin, a DJ from the UK, and we were talking about the conspiracy surrounding the frequency of music. That back in the 1940s, the Nazis, I believe it was, had figured out that if you play music at 440 hertz, it has a very negative effect on the listener, as opposed to the natural harmony, which was 432 prior to that. And a pact was made worldwide amongst all governments that all music shall be played and recorded from henceforth in 440, which is a negative frequency, for our ears to listen to and our bodies to listen to, So it's having a vibrational effect on us. And, it makes you think that when you see, Dublin on a Saturday night after the nightclubs, people coming out, they've had a few drinks, fair enough, but they end up beating the crap out of each other. And, is it just the drink? Is it just the drugs that they might have taken? Or is there something else at play here?
Exactly. And one of the things that Prince was going to do before he died was to change all his back catalogue and all the songs to 432.
I didn't know that now.
No. So that's interesting. And I know there's one or two other people that I've spoken to, a musician there recently I spoke to who's also well known. And he said that they're considering looking at 432 turning their music into 432. So we did cover this topic a couple of times on OYM, and it's very interesting that, you know, frequencies can make a difference to people, and music can cause different emotions. I think we know that. When you're in the car and you have heavy metal on, you're kind of more agitated, or you know. Yeah, but if you put Beethoven on, you're very relaxed and calm and everything else. So music has a massive effect on us, and depending on the music we play. Now, add the frequency into that as well, and there you have your mix.
And that's, I could only imagine it is doing some sort of damage to the human body. I mean, we are 90% water, and if you study cymatics, ladies and gentlemen, for any of you that never looked at it, look at cymatics on YouTube. It's spelled CYMATICS, and it's basically bombarding salt on a metal plate with sound frequencies. And if you give her a god-awful frequency, like a real horrible heavy metal type noise, it gives it a disgusting looking shape, whereas if you play something like classical music, a nice noise, it forms these beautiful, like, flowers and, you know, beautiful shapes, like beautiful geometry.
I think we talked about energies and how water can be manipulated as well. And if people want to experiment, they can do this. You get 2 glasses of water, put a sticker on one and say, call it love, and a sticker on the other one and call it hate, and focus your love energy on one glass and focus your negative energy and hate on the other glass, and see what happens.
Now, I've seen that experiment being done, albeit on YouTube, and it was in like a 5-minute video, so you've got to accept, or at least entertain, the possibility that it was a genuine experiment. Then again, it could be just a silly little YouTube video. But in this experiment, this Japanese scientist, what he done exactly what you did, but he put plants into the water as well. And he expressed love to one glass in one end of the room and nothing but hatred for the other glass at the other end of the room. And of course, the love glass, the plant blossomed, and in the other one it died.
Yeah, there you go. See, so the power of thought, of energy, is very important, and we need to get away from this 3D world and just seeing, you know, the 3D side of things. We need to go beyond that. We need to start tapping into our sixth sense, and to understand it and to learn, because we all have the ability to do it. I mean, how many times have people, again, we think we talked about this before, Mick, you're in a car with somebody and you feel a bit cold and you have the window open and you're just about to say, can you pull up the window? And you pull up the window. Or you're thinking of somebody and the phone rings and it's them on the other end of the phone.
That's the law of attraction right there, Al.
You know?
Yeah, I've had that many's a time. That's happened to me quite a lot. Same with me and my partner. We tend to finish each other's sentences. I don't know what that means now, whether we're just getting too used to each other or what, but we tend to do that quite a lot. Listen, I need to go to the last couple of ads, Al, so do you mind holding on for a couple of minutes?
No problem, Mick.
That'd be great. Folks, we'll be back in 2 minutes. We're on. Talk to us all very shortly.
You're listening to Liffey Sound, www.liffeysoundfm.ie.
Listen online. Community radio at its best.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Al, you still with me?
I am indeed.
Yeah, that's great. Listen, just one more announcement I just want to make, folks. A very quick one. I got a message from Sean Maguire. I spoke about him there a few minutes ago, that he's starting his show. He's moved his show to a new platform on deprogrammedradio.com, and he's got a new website coming soon as well, so keep your eye out for that. It's going to be called outofthebag.radio.com, so keep your eye out for that. I'll post a thing on my World You Don't Know page anyway. Once it's up and running, I'll let you know that it's out there. But as I said, you can catch Sean's show every Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday night on deprogrammedradio.com. So always worth a listen. Great show. Now, I want to go a little bit funny now at the end, or before the end of the show. I want to talk about one more subject, the Mandela effect. I know it's a psyop. I'm convinced that it's a psyop, but what I can't get my head around is, how are they managing to change so much information online? When it comes to, you know, when someone brings something to your attention, you go through your memory, and then when you go online, it's different. And there's an awful lot of stuff that I've noticed has changed. I don't know if you've looked into this too much, but I can't help thinking that it's another major psyop to, I don't know, draw people away from looking at alternative information like what we do, or if it's genuine and it's got something to do with saying, and things really are changing. What do you think, Al?
Well, after speaking to a few people on OYM and guests like James Gilliland and Paddy Prasad, who are pretty much clued in on what's going on, I don't think. Well, they don't think it's. They didn't say to me it was a psyop. They said that it was. They felt that it was a timeline change, because you know, like if you look, I've looked at The Wizard of Oz, for example, which is one of the Mandela effect changes that have taken place. And my partner have had this. She's had the DVD since, I don't know, the early 90s.
Is this the gun?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and she's had the DVD since the early 90s. I don't remember that in The Wizard of Oz, and there's a number of other Mandela effect things I don't remember. So, you know, we do know that the elites are actually mucking about with the timelines. So maybe they have changed the timeline that we're on, and the Mandela effect is definitely a timeline change. I mean, I don't really know for sure because I'm only going by what I can see and the people I've spoken to, but it makes more sense to me that as it's a timeline change rather than a psyop, because this is global. It's affecting everybody, and it's not just affecting, you know, TV programs or movies. There's actually land masses appearing where there was never land masses.
Now, one thing I have noticed now is maps and new places cropping up. And one place I've noticed that's cropped up, which is off the coast of Italy, and it's called the Sargasso Sea. Now, I'd never heard of that before. And apparently
in school, I remember hearing.
I didn't. Now maybe it's just I just genuinely never heard of it. That's, you know, I'm not saying it never existed. I'd never heard of it, and I was a little surprised to see it.
Yeah, I remember hearing the name Sargasso Sea, something got to do with, but I thought it was something got to do with the spawning of salmon.
Right.
Maybe I could be wrong, but definitely other land masses have appeared and buildings have appeared, and so there's been massive changes. So it's not just, as I say, the movies. There's so many changes with this. So you have to then, if that's the case, if you look at all the effects of Mandela, we mentioned we kind of touched base on it last night with James. And he was even kind of blown away with the whole Mandela thing. He said he was blown away with it. And he didn't say anything about a PSYOP. So I think his understanding of it is, same with Paddy, is that it's definitely a timeline change.
No, I seen a video about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Some guy, I can't remember his name now for the life of me. If you just type in D-Wave computer, folks, you'll find this speech. It was about 20 minutes long. And he was talking about this computer that's been built called a quantum computer. And what he was saying was that this computer had the ability to reach into different dimensions and draw information from them and pull them into this one. He's saying this was the capability of this thing. Now I'm thinking, if you couple that computer then with CERN, what's possible, you know? Yeah, well, funny enough, I had a visit from Richard Cumbers this week. He popped up to me. He was over in Ireland, and he took a spin up to me we were talking for about an hour, and he was telling me about a chap in the UK. I'm not going to mention any location or where he is, but basically he has an orgone machine which changes the weather. Now, we talked about this before, Mick. Wilhelm Reich kind of came up with this technology, and people can go on YouTube and listen to the history of Wilhelm Reich and what he did. And apparently there's certain people that have this. Now, he showed me the photo, and this guy has it in his back garden. It's a massive, big machine. And he proved to a person who was there who didn't believe him, and he started making changes to the weather. And apparently there's these 3 big machines. There's 3 of them in the UK. And they are focusing the energy of the orgone machine towards CERN and stopping CERN doing things that it's trying to do. Right. And they've been successful with that. But again, you know, we don't have really time to go into the science and the whole idea of orgone and the technology. But again, people need to research it and they need to look at it, you know. So again, very quickly, I'll just say what we always say in OYM is that, you know, Aristotle said the mark of an educated mind is to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. That's true. So very true. There's no black and white, you know, some people think there's black and white, it's either true or it's not. Well, the grey area is to entertain the thought. If you can entertain the thought, you have an open mind. True enough. If you can't entertain it and you say that's BS, then you've got a closed mind. Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to accept it. As long as you entertain someone's opinion, you don't have to accept them, folks. You know, your opinions are your own. You can listen to anyone's opinion. You don't have to accept it, but you should at least give someone the courtesy of listening to it. Yeah, exactly. And if you don't know about the subject, then you should be able to entertain it. Because if you turn around and call BS and you haven't done any studying on it, well, then that just makes you look ignorant. Now, talking about the Sargasso Sea that we just mentioned there a couple of minutes ago, I did get a text in from Ray Moore in the UK. Good evening, Ray. Thanks for tuning in. He said there was a famous book written back in 1966 called The Wild Sargasso Sea. So he's heard of it anyway. But as I said, I never heard of it. I mean, there was another Mandela effect as well that I noticed there a couple of months back of this new bridge in Staten Island in the United States that wasn't there before apparently, but it's there now, you know.
And these things are coming about. People are reporting on things and they're saying, I don't remember that building or that land or this, that and the other, and they're pointing it all out. So this is why I think the whole Mandela thing would be impossible as a psyop, because there's physical changes on the planet, all over the planet. And people are noticing it, where if you had a psyop with, I don't know, I mean, is the flat earth a psyop? I mean, I don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah, it's one. I done an interview with a guy here last year called Mark Sargent, who seems to be one of the champions online of the flat earth concept. I said I'll give him, an hour of my time. I had to listen to what he was saying. He put up some very cogent arguments, okay, for flights and stuff like that. But it's stuff that I couldn't check out anyway, unless I physically went to the Southern Hemisphere and got these flights to find out for myself. You know, Australia, to Chile, etc. But Max Egan sort of debunked that by saying I'm actually on a flight from Sydney to Chile, and it was a direct flight. There was no stopovers anywhere. He said it was direct.
Yeah.
So he said,
well, we've got more evidence, and like Paddy Brassard has been up there. She's been up in space, and she said it's round. So,
but like even Finn on People's Internet Radio, he put a post up the other day, basically just asking people, will you feck off with all this flat earth stuff, because it's clouding the real issues that people should be discussing. The corrupt bankers and stuff like that, and everything else that goes with that. But
it seems to be like a religion for some people.
But it has been,
trying to push it down your throat, and you think, look, even if it is flat, right? Even if it is flat, there's nothing we can do about it.
But that's what I said. That's what I put a comment on Vin's on the post, and I just basically said, flat around. None of us are getting off this merry-go-round any day soon. End of. So just leave it and just forget about it. It doesn't matter, because we're never going to know anyway. So why are we even sitting here debating the issue? It's pointless,
Exactly. And that's the best way to leave it. Let's move on and let's deal with the things we can deal with. Like chemtrails, we can see them in the sky, and when they disappear, we know that the white hats are doing their job.
Yeah, and we know there's an issue with chemtrails because we can actually see them, so we know what's going on. We know there's fluoride in the water. We know it's not good for us. Vaccines, the pharmaceutical industry, these are all physical things we can look at and we know.
Exactly.
So there's no point looking at something you can't prove or disprove whether the earth is flat or not, Well, the Mandela effect, I suppose, there are subtle little changes that are going on and people can see them, so there's something funny going on there, I've no doubt about that.
Oh, definitely. And the subjects that we can't kind of prove, it's good being able to entertain the information anyway.
Well, true enough. As I said, it takes an open mind to entertain an opinion without necessarily accepting it. So, that's always a good rule of thumb anyway when it comes to information. Now, I've got one more thing I want to discuss with you. I've got a couple of minutes left, Al. Now, I was listening to some of your show last night. I didn't get to listen to the whole lot, but I did hear you saying that you were going to be closing down for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a break for...
You're going to be working on a couple of little projects, energy projects, if I'm correct.
That's right, yeah. We're building... we have one video up there got to do with solar generators. So for people who suffer from power cuts, or if anything happens where you don't have any power, the solar generators will give you a level of power. So we have one video up there, and we're going to be doing... we're going to be doing 2 more videos. We have a kind of junior solar generator, and then we're going to have a daddy solar generator, which is going to produce more power. And then we're going to go to and do another video, and we're going to be talking about solar panel technology, and how to know the difference between a monocrystalline and a polycrystalline panel, and working out calculations and stuff like that. Plus, we're working on another experiment got to do with wind power and charging up your solar generator. So if you have a solar generator in the back of your car, and we're looking at DC motors, and where you can actually put them on your car, and the DC motor will create electricity and charge your solar panel.
Is that the thing with the fan?
Yeah, that's right.
I've seen a video for that. Very interesting. I've seen you were getting 5 and 6 and 7 volts off that.
That's right. Now, we're going to be getting bigger motors, and we're going to get bigger fans. They're coming in.
But I seen what you were doing, though. I mean, what you done in the car was proof of concept anyway. It did work.
That's it. It was very, very basic. We just wanted to show people, hey, people talk about free energy.
Here's how you get
this out the window. The wind's going to spin the fan, and it's going to give us 5.5 volts, which will charge your mobile phone. Yeah. There you go.
Now, some would say if you're in the car doing it, you might as well stick your phone into the cigarette lighter, but that wasn't the purpose as to why you done it. You were obviously trying to prove that there is such a thing as free energy, and we just need to explore concepts that can be developed by just Joe Soap in his own house without having to plug into a grid.
That's it. And the whole idea is we're going to do it baby steps. We're going to take it step by step and do a video for each, because we don't want to make it too technical so people don't understand it. So we want to break it down, and we do it step by step, and we say, right, this is the new motor, and and give the spec of the motor, and we'll do the same experiment and show people the power that we get from that, and just keep going up gradually, so they can actually have a kind of a storyboard of how we started off with the technology, so they can understand it.
Well, I look forward to seeing how you get on with that. Well, listen, Al, I have come to the end of the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I thought we've had a very good show tonight. Lots of subjects discussed. So until next time, Al, thanks very much for coming on to The World You Don't Know.
No problem, Mick.
Now, just give out the name of your website before you go for the listeners so they know.
Yeah, if you want to check out Open Your Mind Radio, go to OYMradio.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/OYM Internet Radio, and we have a YouTube channel. As Mick said, we're taking a break for a couple of weeks, and we do have a podcast from Thomas Williams we're going to be playing in the meantime, but we'll be back in a few weeks.
Okay, that's brilliant. Al, until I see you the next time, so enjoy a few weeks off and have fun, and I look forward to seeing this little experiment of yours.
Great stuff. Thanks.
All right, talk to you again soon, Al. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now, folks, that was Alan James from Open Your Mind Radio. Always an absolute pleasure to have on. He's a great guest, Al, and he's always a good bit of laugh, you know. Very knowledgeable bloke, knows his stuff, does his own show as well on a Sunday night, and it's always great to have him on. So, as I said, that's the end of the show, folks. Hopefully I will be here next week. If not, I will see you the week after. It is Halloween next Monday. I might have to go up and do a pre-record if I can get back up to the studio. Otherwise, I'll just get a previous show put out, but I'll see what happens. Hopefully, I can be in the hot seat next week. We'll see how that goes. Keep your eye on the US election. As I said, folks, you might think Trump is the hero because he goes against Hillary and he calls her a criminal. He's not. He works for the same people. They all do. They all work together, folks. It's all a big circus. Don't believe anything you see on the mainstream media. It's all a scam. Anyway, folks, this has been The World You Don't Know. Remember, the world is full of great people. If you can't find one, be one. Until next time, take care. Talk to you all soon.
9 to 10 p.m. Monday night on Liffey Sounds. The World You Don't Know. The World You Don't Know. 9 to 10 p.m. Monday night on Liffey Sounds.